Learn from the History of Permesta or PRRI. After independence, there were several military movements that tried to separate themselves from the Republic of Indonesia, one of which was the Permesta Rebellion. Permesta Rebellion was founded on March 2, 1957. The beginning of this movement was due to a feeling of disappointment with the development and economic system that was considered uneven and the problems of regional autonomy. This movement was marked by a declaration by reading the Universal Struggle Charter by Lieutenant Colonel Francis Samuel at the Makassar Governor's House. This declaration was supported by several military and civilian figures in eastern Indonesia, including Colonel D.G. Somba, Colonel Dol Fronturambi, Colonel Alex Kawilarang, and Colonel Petit Suharto. Initially, this movement received the support of the people of Makassar. However, over time, the people began to dislike Permesta, so this movement moved its headquarters to Manado. On January 9, 1958, the first meeting was held in the river region of West Sumatra. The meeting was attended by several regional military commanders. The purpose of this meeting is to form a new government and will hold a meeting. The next day in Padang, the meeting was held with the result that Ahmad Hussein, who gave an ultimatum to the central government to overthrow the Juanda cabinet within 24 hours. The government was then required to appoint Muhammad Hatta and Sultan Hamengkubuwono IX to form the second cabinet. The President Sukarno had to become the constitutional president. However, the ultimatum was rejected by the central government. Then, on February 15, 1958, Ahmad Hussein announced the establishment of PRRI, or the Revolutionary Government of the Republic of Indonesia, with its Prime Minister Syarifuddin Prawiranegara. This PRRI declaration coincided with the Permesta in eastern Indonesia. They then joined forces and submitted three demands to the central government, namely the dissolution of the cabinet of the Juanda, Muhammad Hatta and Sultan Hamengkubuwono IX to form a temporary government. Then, until the next general election was held, Sukarno returned to his constitutional position. After 2 days, on February 17, 1958, Major D.G. Somba, as the regional military command for North and Central Sulawesi, stated that he had cut ties with the central government in Jakarta and joined PRRI. Then both got support from the United States and the Philippines. They supported the Permesta or PRRI movement because they were worried about strengthening that the communists in Indonesia. His arm and other support were channeled through CIA operation. In January 1958, in Singapore, Francis Samuel and Sumitra Jojo Hamdi Kusumo make their first contact with CIA personnel. Subsequently, the CIA in Singapore handled assistance to PRRI in Sumatra, while the CIA in Manila and the Philippines provided support to Permesta in North Sulawesi. After that, the Indonesian central government experienced a Cold War against America from 1953 to 1963. On February 22, 1958, there was a conflict between the central government in Permesta in Manado, in which the central government bombed Manado in response to Permesta merger with PRRI. At the same time, Permesta representative Major Maximilian Johan Panto met with Joe Tonio, who was a Philippines intelligence official appointed as liaison with Permesta rebels in Manila. In addition, Panto also met with CIA officer Cecil Cartwright, who gave him 650 caliber machine gun weapons as a sign that he was willing to help the rebels in Sulawesi. Then the Philippines and the United States worked together to provide training camps, which were used by the rebels and foreign pilots who had been recruited by the CIA to work for Permesta. However, on May 18, 1958, The Philippines ceased its support after a pilot working for Permesta was shot down and captured by central government forces. Then the armed conflict between the central government and Permesta or PRRI continued until 1961. Seeing this, the government considers the PRRI rebellion to be immediately resolved by conducting a joint operation consisting of the Army, Navy, and Air Force of the Indonesian Armed Forces, or called as the APRI. This settlement operation consisted to deceive operations led by Lieutenant Colonel Kaharudin Nasution, 18 August operation led by Colonel Ahmad Yani, Satma Marga operations led by Jati Kusumo, and awareness operation led by Lieutenant Colonel Ibtu Suptowo. APRI soldiers then carried out various acts of violence that claimed many victims. It is known that 22,174 people became victims, 4,360 people were injured, and 8,072 people became prisoners in this rebellion. Until finally, in August 1958, the Permesta or PRRI rebellion could only be crushed. Then, on December 17, 1960, Permesta or PRRI agreed to end their rebellion. And in 1961, the government opened an agreement for the remaining supporters of Permesta or PRRI to return to the Republic of Indonesia. Based on the story, the thing that has caused the Permesta or PRRI rebellion was a matter of injustice. Permesta first demands a fair balance of development between the center and the regions. On the other hand, we oppose the movements that lead to the disintegration of the nation, because, whatever happened, Indonesia is a unitary state that we must protect together. In efforts to prevent the disintegration of the nation and sustain the strength of this country, we recognize the four pillars of nationality, namely Pancasila, the UUD 1945, NKRI, and Bhinneka Tunggal Ika. These four pillars of nationality will support an advanced, fair, and prosperous Indonesia. Therefore, we learn from this historical fact, especially for the government to create equitable development in all fields, as if currently being carried out by the current government of President Joko Widodo.